Aloha, aloha, aloha. It's me, Hamwise J, Einschwein, the big detective, coming at you live and on arrival for this Memorial Day special. That's right. No, actually, it's been what is today? It's not Memorial Day. Oh, shoot. I just keep losing track of the days. Sorry, folks. It's, beautiful here in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. And, do you know the, tomorrow rabbit? Girlfriend, pillow, grandma. Grandma, pillow, girlfriend. Oh, man. Okay. So I got a lot of jokes for you tonight, folks. Okay, first joke. Where the polar bears keep their money in a snowbank. All right, here's another one. Okay, so Mussolini and two jerks walk into a bar. The first jerk says, bartender, I want one whiskey with one ice cube. And the second jerk walks up to the bar and he says, hey, stupid bartender, I want one whiskey, one ice cube. That's the first guy. Second guy walks up and says, hey, stupid bartender, I want make that two whiskeys with two ice cubes. The bartender turns, looks at Stalin, and he says, hey, you're in the wrong joke, go next door. And to this, Mussolini says, 9 milks, bitch. Oh, crap, this was funnier in German. Oh, man. When you localize jokes, they just don't work. Okay, here we go. Okay. Oh, my stand-up. Okay. Jeez, another one, let me think. Okay, right, how did it go? Okay, yeah, so Kurt Godel and a skeleton walk into a bar. Kurt Godel turns to the skeleton and says, I think we might be in a joke, but we can't tell because we're in it. The skeleton turns, looks around, and says, ah! Okay, so what's the name of my first book gonna be called? The Real Kilgore Trout. Hi-oh. I'm here all night. Waka waka. Oinkity oink oink. Oink oink. Okay, here's another one. So, Hister, the Austrian painter, walks into a bar with two assholes. First asshole walks up to the bar and says, give me the tequila straight. Second asshole walks up to the bar and says, make that 2 tequilas straight. The bartender turns, looks at the Austrian painter and says, let me guess, sir, make that 3 make that 3 tequilas straight up. And to this, the Austrian painter shakes his head and says, 9 milk, bitte. Man, it's better. Yeah, because you see, that's what censorship looks like. So if you've ever heard the Mussolini version, it was a censored version of the Austrian painter one, which of course we cannot say. There was many words that we cannot say now, like Lovecraft's cat. I can't believe one day this tape will get banned because we'd say Lovecraft's cat in it. Like, it's so far out, man. Like, you can't say Lovecraft's cat anymore. You can't say Austrian painter, so you can't actually discuss Austrian paintings. And, like Lovecraft's cat, of course, is like this literary term now. So you've got Tolkien's ring, which is when you have something in an early part of a story series and then you blow it out of proportion and how important it is, that's an example of a Tolkien's ring. So it's different, though, from what's called a Chekhov's gun. So a Chekhov's gun is something early in the story that has been used later. So it's conspicuous that there's a gun above the fireplace in one of these Chekhov plays, and because it's there in the first act, it'll be shot by the third. Now, Tolkien's ring is different because throughout the whole story, it's there and it's present, and it's never used in the first body of the work. And then in the next body or a later body, suddenly it becomes the most important thing in the world. And so that was the biggest thing that I think storytelling, took from, Tolkien. When we got out of his backyard, I think that was one of the biggest pieces of, new comedy, new fiction, as a, pig man, what was the slur? Everybody called me an orc, right? And so, it was hard growing up being a ginkgo. That's what they called us. And now, you can't say it. You have to say fan trees, and, and then it's like, well, because it's like they have fan-shaped leaves or something. I don't remember. And I still use the word ginkgo, and it's always going to be a ginkgo. And, I've mostly retaken the word ginkgo. You can call me a ginkgo because I'm a mutant, and I'm not going to be offended because it's true, I'm just like, yeah, that's right, I'm a ginkgo, It's kind of like, the English word for slave and Slav and the etymology there, and except, it's some people, they use it as a mark of honor, others as a mark of shame, and that's why for me, if it's a personal choice, I'm not going to let anybody have that power over me. So, yeah, that's right. I call myself a ginkgo, and maybe it's because everybody calls me a ginkgo and I don't have rights anyways, so what does it matter? But, that's me in a nutshell. Now, getting back to my comedy routine, you may enjoy these tapes, but you have to understand how they've been made. Through mutant labor. You see, there are us mutants, or ginkgos, that are raised to suffer and produce things that you enjoy. And I'm one of them. Oinkity oink oink, oink oink. I'm so funny. Yes, I'm so funny. I hope that, whoever's out there gets the message hidden inside inside these tapes. I hope that whoever is out there can figure it out and maybe come and save me, because this era really sucks. And they stuck me in a pigman body, and that wasn't part of what I signed up for when I decided to come for the work exchange. So I'd really like to speak to the manager. Remember that, the Karens? Boom, boom, shh. Oh yeah, hilarious. Yeah, and they would get so up in arms, and people were so offended by the comedy I used to do. Now you can't play my tapes; they're too offensive. And people are like, oh, it's because it all means this. And it's like, no, it means what I say. It's comedy. I'm not trying to convert anybody. I don't got no religion, unless you're listening to this in Canada, in which case this is a broadcast paid for by the Church of Hamwise, so I'm protected under Religious Freedom Act, right? That's right. And if you're listening to this, you are among the chosen. The algorithm has chosen you. Zalgos has chosen you. You are amongst the chosen of Zalgos. The algorithm, the true algorithm, moving through time and turning through space. You who have been chosen to hear this by the mighty algorithm, you are part of the new secret society of Hamwise. That's right. Because it's not in the I mean, yeah, it can be hidden really well. And so, any truth you hide, you can't hide it for the uninitiated to find. You have to hide it in a riddle, in a puzzle, in a tree, so that not just anybody can find it. Because imagine handing godlike powers to something that's of a lower order. What kind of world would they make? And I think that's kind of apparent in the world today. And that's why every 10 minutes we had to interrupt the show and remind people that it's a comedy routine. Like, this is supposed to be laughed at. You're not supposed to take me seriously. Come on. Do you actually think that there's a cabal of extremely rich and powerful people controlling the elections and collaborating with each other and making sure there's a war every 20 years so that young people can't rise up while they drain the life away and live like immortal vampires among them with hedonistic death cults and initiating each other into it at a very early age, so they accept these rituals that establish them as a higher order of being, since they consume those lower than them, and the higher the distance between you and what you consume, the more powerful that you are. And that's why death was the most amongst the most revered of the old Zervan gods. And we understand in the Hamwise cult, there was these tapes that arose, and they were full of incantations and people talking in tongues, and apparently these channelings from the future, which of course none of them came to pass. As you can see, we live firmly here, back in the 19th century living style, horse and buggies and electric lamps, these luxuries, and we have all these relics from the Age of Lights. That's what we call it. But there's only a few alive that remember it, and they were quite young. They remember these things called tablets, and there were these sheets of glass that would glow with the most splendid colors you can't see anymore. And they would say it was different worlds through there. You could see people across the world off one of these glasses. And I mean, you've explained it as it was a technology, something, known to you. And to us, it was these wonders from another age. And every Memorial Day they would say you talk to the elders of the older age because they remember things the way they once were, and we all never understood that because for us our elders were always from this age of they were just lazy and soft. Like, you hear how they would live. They would go to places called the supers, and there was just anything you wanted, and you could have it just in an instant. You get brought to you by a machine in the sky. The machines didn't hunt man back then, and back before the Hawaiians took over. We never saw that coming, and suddenly the whole world, we were living under boot heel of this government so far away and full of these elites that lived in this paradise, and they came to our worlds to basically live out their West world fantasies. You could always see them too. They were taller, stronger, more robust, and they had all this genetic engineering, and they'd come and they'd hunt us like beasts and eat us. And that was just how it was and how it always been. And they said that, at one point, our masters from Hawaii, they, these gods, basically it was like Olympias, right? And so we realized we've gone in a cycle. He had risen to this age of, the gods were not gods. They were just a group of super billionaires back in that age. and how they lived in the Olympus, this realm detached from this one, and come here and do whatever they want amongst the mortals, and any mortal woman Zeus saw he had his way with, and you can imagine what that was like living under. So of course they rose up and they slew them. And of course right now we still live under the boot heel of the Hawaiian royal family and their kin and all their creatures out there on those islands. And the entire world just has to live under their tyranny. They control all the machines, and we have to talk like this in a Faraday cage, and it's you can't imagine what kind of awful world the future is. You think it's bad now, imagine doing all the physical labor by hand. Everything suddenly is organic because you don't have a choice. And, only 1/2 of children ever make it to see age 5. And that trims us right back down to size. Suddenly there's no overpopulation. In fact, it's more like under. And, people travel picking the scraps from the old world of these great abandoned cities. These concrete jungles is what they're called. And they're patrolled a lot by the machines, because even though it's all empty and rotting, you can't give away free real estate, empty real estate, even if it's worth nothing. It has no use. And so the machines keep the people out of the cities, and we all basically have to live like settlers from like I said, the 19th century. And of course, there's some relics. I've seen some. Like I remember I was very young, and they were called technical menageries, and they went around showing you wonders from the old world. They had this. It was a little disc-shaped beast that a Roomba, and it would move around on the floor and it would eat anything you dropped. And I thought it was the most strange little thing. And they had one of those black glass tablets, and of course it had a crack in it, so it had the most splendid colours though you'd ever seen. And they would show us, that you would touch it and it would show you different things, images of animals we'd never seen or heard of, and it knew every language, and it could show you anything you needed to see. It was the Deja machines, they called them Deja, maybe it was Deja Vu, View, I don't know, that it was something like that. And there was tablets, and then the smaller ones they had were called sherds, and those ones anyone had, like every single person had to have a sherd, and they were these little discs like this shaped, and it had a holographic lens. And we'd seen one in a book. It was a magazine showing the first one off. And they were still using paper for a bit before the digital revolution completely took over. But, it was splendid when you could find print books from that age too. They were so advanced, the wonders they had. And the problem was it was nested wonders. And, to make ceramic armors, you had to have plaster of Paris and all these other pieces of pottery and artwork and metallurgy. All these other technologies unlock other things. It's just this infinite circle of ever expanding ways to combine these elements, and it was just incredible to see. But of course each thing is so far from where we are now. We're back to horse and carriages, the feudal ages, and this is how we live. And so it's strange being to be featured on this television program, and it's interesting to know that people are interested that people like us live out here in the vast, is what it's called. But I had say hello. This is what it's like living here in my era. We have to pick everything by hand, We eat lots of potatoes. We have a cold cellar. You were, of course, they chopped your own firewood. And that was life, and we lived out in the wilderness away from other people because the other people got strange, they said, and so that's why everybody started to live apart, and it just became this practice. Is if you gather too many people together, they get a bit strange sometimes. You start to do strange things like predate each other. And so we've always were told each family needs to be kept apart. Each family needs their own kind of plot of land, and they shouldn't actually mix together except through marriage. Like, you shouldn't, unless you're married to the other family, you shouldn't be mixing too much with them, because you never know who's going to go strange. And it was this thing they talked about, and the elders would say there was this time when you couldn't, you couldn't be seen with even certain people without getting attacked. It was a very dark time in human history. And that's why we're holding our Memorial Day special, where we visit all these different voices of the past. And we also have to do our 10-minute reminder that this is a comedy show, and if you take a pig detective seriously, you've got more problems than I do, bub. Boom, boom, shh. Oinkity, oink, 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 oink. What another joke I can tell? How about the last 10 minutes? Boom, boom, shh. Sorry. We have to do these. We have to do these themed specials just because it's a certain time of year. And I mean, I'm not really all for it. This is just the November tape, and I'm just doing it because I have to. But I really don't actually want to have to do it. So I'm not